The questions remain the same in each of these interviews. The power lies in hearing these amazing answers. My name is Tony Reese, and it is with a great privilege and honor I present to you this installment of My Life Lessons Showcasing Senior Adults.
Welcome to My Life Lessons Showcasing Senior Adults. And today I am honored to have Mr. Robert Eschelman with us. And you've given me permission to call you Bob, correct?
That's correct.
All right, Bob. So take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born in Birdsboro. I'm happily married. I was a paper carrier when I was young, a paper carrier for the Reading Eagle. In my teens, early teens, I entered a subscription contest put on by the Reading Eagle, and I and 4 other carriers won a 2-week trip to Cuba.
Oh my goodness.
Which of course is in the headlines right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Fidel was not in charge then. It was a man named Batista. And it was later on that the communists took over and Fidel came in. But anyhow, that was a great thing for a 17-year-old junior in high school to be introduced that, not by going by plane, but by going by car to Florida and then overnight on a steamship to Havana.
What an adventure.
Great. That was a very early highlight of my very early years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. My goodness. What? Shall we go into the project?
Yeah, I just want to say one other thing. Important things to me are being a Christian, having a loving family, and having been very satisfied with my work experience virtually from the beginning up until my final retirement.
Oh, how nice to be able to say that.
And I'm happy to be here now.
That's fantastic.
Let me add one other thing, if you will.
Sure.
My wife and I had our semi-annual physical about not quite 2 weeks ago. And when we got to the internist's office, the doctor's office, she gave us a big smile. She said, "How are things in your new home at the Highlands? Because we've been here only 4 months." Well, we said, everything is okay. We're getting accustomed. We don't get as lost anymore as we used to. But she said, "The Highlands are very good for you, have been very good for you so far." Well, what do you mean? "Bob, your blood sugar is down, remarkably down from where it was 6 months ago. Your cholesterol is down, so keep on doing all those good things you're doing, and the Highlands is good for you." There's a plug, but it means, that comment means a lot to both of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great, and that is a wonderful thing to hear, actually, as the Highlands.
Yeah.
So let's go into the project. Bob, how would you define a great life?
First of all, in our case, I think my first thing that comes to my mind is my family. Successful, tragedy. We have 2 boys, one of whom passed away at age 50. He was dealt a bad deck of cards, so to speak. I don't think we need to go into any more of that, but he left us with 2 great-granddaughters. One is now 31 and one is 29. We enjoy them very much. We had a visit on Thanksgiving from one of them, and it's great. Being very satisfied with accomplishments, being truthful and honest with clients. I'm a professional engineer. I failed to mention that in the beginning. So ethics are a must, if you will. I can't put it any other way. Mm-hmm. And a lot of satisfaction. That's a great life.
How has the Highlands added to your great life?
Helping, I would say, helping with the continuation of a great life by relieving us of a lot of the menial things that used to be required. My wife's the gardener, but I was the gopher. But we had grass flowers to tend. We had snow to shovel. Those are the menial things, but we can sit back and relax and say, let it snow. If it snows, we'll stay here. Our son will say, you better not go out when you're in the car. Stick with where you live so nothing happens. It has given, I'm sure, quite a bit of satisfaction and relief to our remaining son and his family, that he need not worry quite a bit as much about us, about our being here and having the care when we need it, when and if we need it.
Who were your heroes, your role models when you were a child?
Role models. Role models.
And or heroes?
Certainly parents. My father was a Kutztown Normal School graduate. He was in World War I. He taught school for just a little bit and decided after graduating from Kutztown that it wasn't for him. So he took a job at a superintendent at a assistant superintendent at a quarry. He taught me. Let me give you an example. This might come in later question. I'm not quite sure, but as a young boy, and I mean below maybe age 10, every Saturday we'd come to Reading to do shopping. My mother did food shopping, and father and my sister and I walked around or had our shoes polished or did some things like that while mother was busy. This may sound dumb, but at Fifth and Penn, there was always a newspaper vendor. It wasn't you didn't even have a booth. He laid the papers in different piles on the floor, on the ground. We walked by. For some reason, the vendor wasn't there, and I walked behind my father and saw 3 pennies lying on a pile of papers. I didn't know. I thought, somebody dropped some money. Well, they did drop some money, but they were paying for a paper, even though the vendor wasn't in the immediate area. 3 cents for a Reading Eagle at that time. Mm-hmm. I told my dad as we walked away, he sternly looked at me and said, "You shouldn't have done that." Well, why, Daddy? That money was, he told me what the purpose of the money for. So we took it back and put it back where I got it. Mm-hmm. That simple little thing was a real lesson in in learning, I guess, learning a bit about life.
Integrity. It sounds like full of integrity.
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness. So he was a role model for you.
He, in that sense. Mm-hmm. Another one was a neighbor who happened to be secretary of the school board at the time. And he took me under his wing and let me help him go through papers. I don't mean school children's papers. Go through business papers, invoices, things like that, and allowed me to do some typing for him. And that was at that time that was hunt and poke typing. But I respected him very, very much. He was a bachelor. He had never married. he took me walking. He didn't have a car. He didn't have a driver's license. We walked to this school where he had an office. I walked with him. He introduced me to people and things like that. I learned a little bit about what he was doing. And he was a great writer. He wrote for the Reading Eagle. He was a correspondent for the Reading Eagle. So every day he would take his notes over to the trolley car at the other end of Birdsboro. The trolley driver would take the notes to Reading along with his regular trip and drop them off to somebody at the newspaper company and so forth and so on. That's the way it worked. But anyhow, the point was he kept he kept up to date with his walks around town, and many times, more than a couple times a week, I would walk with him as he talked to people and so forth, and in a sense he was gathering news.
Oh, so what was it about him about that?
His knowledge and his mannerisms, his politeness, if you will, anything to start a conversation with somebody to find out what was going on. How's your neighbor? How's John Smith? Is he back to work? They used to have, I thought was a funny expression, Mary Jones was ill, but she's about again. Oh. That means she's up and walking again. She's out.
So really it was the way he engaged people.
I think so.
And he taught you that, firsthand experience.
I was watching and listening.
Oh, what a great tribute
That was a great guy. He died in his 70s in the mid-1940s. So these things go back a bit.
What do you think would surprise people the most to learn about you?
I'm 92 and a half years old.
My goodness. I don't know what they're doing here at the Highlands.
I know I'm not in the running because I know there are people here over 100.
We interviewed a 106-year-old gentleman.
I saw that.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I give my wife all the credit for it. She makes sure that I eat the right foods, which are available here. Really, and yes, she gets the credit.
In your 92 and a half years of this life, this great life, what's been your greatest life lesson?
My greatest life lesson. I think the experience of losing a child is there's nothing great about it, but it teaches one to honor other people, family members primarily, honor and respect and love, especially love. When you may not know, may not be here tomorrow, so to speak. I think that was the greatest tragedy, if you will, in our lives, my wife and mine. And it happened. We had to accept it. We had him for 15 years after his aortic dissection, because he was able to, the physicians were able to treat in such a manner that he resumed his work as a computer programmer. and things like that. So it was knowing that something could happen at any time, but playing it day by day, I think, one day after the other.
So the life lesson that we need to learn from your lesson is to be very aware that anything can happen at any time.
That, you put it better than I did.
No, I just learned it from you.
Thank you.
How have you put that lesson that was learned so tragically, but how have you put that into practice as your life went on?
Enjoying 4 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. 2 of them live fairly close by. The others are one in North Carolina and one in Maryland. Really loving them to the nth degree, I think. Be grateful for having, for our children having given us those grandchildren.
Well, this is a great segue into this next question. Bob, what does love mean to you?
Many things, and especially great differences. Love can mean I love a cheeseburger. But more importantly, that's the one side. More importantly, I would say affection for my wife and children and friends. Affection for them, different from the love of a husband and wife, I would say, but still love to be with them, love to talk with them, love to play cards with them, and so forth. Good friends. Certainly come into the category of loving a lot of them.
I'm also getting a sense from you that you love life.
I think that's fair. I do not disagree with you. I do. And especially, again, I feel being here at the Highlands, not so burdensome, mentally, as well as physical, but especially mentally, yes.
You can take that deep breath and enjoy the snow.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. That's right.
How do you want to be remembered?
I'm an engineer. I mentioned that. I'm a professional engineer. First of all, I want to be remembered for having served. Served the public, served my employer, plural, employers, clients, served them fairly, truthfully, to the best of my ability, which, when I take into account the types of work that I've done, mostly with companies making products that one does not buy at Walmart or the food store or any retail, but certain products contain some of the things that I help make. Certain metals, certain powders, certain foils, especially in the metals, refractory metals business, and in the aluminum alloy business. Products that we made that make those retail products better. And that's the business side of it. With my family, I'd like to be remembered as Opa or Oma, Opa or Grandpa or Dad or whatever, and hope I continue to keep their respect and love.
Thank you so much for being part of this important project and inspiring us along the way. Really appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Thank you.